everyone, and welcome to my wedding series episode 9, where I'll be showing you our budget DIY wedding invitations. So in today's video, I'll show you how we designed our invites for free and how to easily print on envelopes with your printer. I'll also share with you some tips and tricks on how to print custom vellum wraps for your invitation suites and how we designed our wax seal to DIY our dream wedding invitations on a budget. Full invitation suites like we made can run you a ton of money, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I really didn't want to spend a ton of our budget on invitations. We really DIY'd our invites like crazy and love how they turned out. So this is the final look outside of the envelope. Now I am covering up some information of ours, our last names basically, because I don't share my last name online. We have that vellum paper, a beautiful gold wax seal, and then there's the invitation as well as an RSVP page and a detail page, kind of double-sided, tucked up into this vellum wrap. So let's start from the very beginning, or what you can see first, the wax seal. We ended up ordering our wax stamp from Etsy, a shop called Stampcraft Shop. Now they do have a ton of designs, but because we wanted everything to be very cohesive throughout the whole suite, I did design the stamp with the flower and our initials in the font that was matching our invitations. Everything was very custom, but it was super easy to send them the design, and they did a great job carving it out of the stamp. Now I did only get the stamp with the wooden handle, nothing else. There were other things that you can add on, but it was very inexpensive to do it that way, and I just got my wax off of Amazon in the end. Doing the custom wax seals for our invitations was my favorite part of the entire wedding planning process. I know that's crazy, but it really was so fun to stamp the wax, and the fact that it was this beautiful design was just the cherry on top of our wedding invitation. Now, I will mention really quickly as a little tip, if you're planning your wedding invites right now, the reason I didn't add the wax stamp on the outside of the envelope, as you know, traditionally would be done, is because the mail sorting machines can actually destroy them sometimes. I don't know. I read a lot of horror stories online about it, so I decided that the next best thing was to put it on that vellum wrap and then it go right into our envelopes with nothing on the outside, just to be safe. Moving on to our invitations. Now, we did design our invitations ourselves with inspiration from other invite suites that we saw online. Do some research, see what you like, whether the minimalist style, you like a photo, something like that. And if you're crafty and creative, you can easily design your invitations by yourself. You can use Canva, or what we used was Photopea. It's actually similar to Photoshop, and it's free, a website online that I will link below, along with all of the other things that are mentioned in this video that we purchased. I will link those below as well. It was easy to do knowing Photoshop a little bit, and honestly, even if you don't, pretty easy to get the handle of. We could have used Canva if we wanted, but again, we really wanted to customize everything and personalize it, so we wanted to use our own fonts that we found online just to make it super, I don't know, us. We ended up getting them printed from a company called Smartpress. It might not be one that you've heard of off the bat. There are a ton of companies, obviously, that print wedding invites, especially custom ones that you design and upload, but I really wanted something that was more textured, like a linen or a felt weave. Felt weave was what we went for. I just did some Googling. I honestly don't know how I found them. What was really nice is they actually can send you this free paper sample booklet. It has samples of all the paper that they have in stock at the time that you order it, and I'm pretty sure it was free. Like, you don't even have to pay for shipping or anything. So it was really nice to actually see the paper in your hand and know that it was good quality before actually investing and getting your invites printed from them. We really wanted quality invites with not a crazy cost. Even though, you know, we did put some money into it, it wasn't nearly the same as if we had just purchased off of one of the bigger names for wedding invites online. So as you can see, with some things blurred out, this was our wedding invitation. It was just one-sided, and we did a smaller card to go along with it that has all the details that we found necessary just to display. I know it is a little bit packed on there, but I wanted wanted to make everything very clear. And on the back side is our RSVP. We did an online RSVP through our wedding website. So you would just scan the QR code or visit the website by typing it out. We did have a password on our website to keep it more private, and people could RSVP right there. We also included our phone numbers on the bottom, which is what is blurred out at the moment. Just in case anyone had any technical difficulties, they could email us or phone us, get some help on RSVPing, or, just call us and let us know whether they're going to attend. Now, our invitations ordered off of Smartpress did come with the envelopes, and it is a matching paper, which is very nice. We could have paid extra to have them addressed, I believe, but we wanted to skip that additional cost and do it ourselves, which is where printing on envelopes comes into play. Now, I do have a Cricut, and there are ways you can actually have the Cricut write the address on the envelope, which could be nice for a more like handwritten effect. But honestly, the most efficient and easiest way is to print your addresses on your envelopes. And I swear it might be intimidating. It was at the beginning, but it is so easy once you get the hang of it and with these simple steps. So let's walk you through it. Now, I will mention every printer is different. I will list our printer on the screen if it helps, but definitely reference your printer's manual, Google it, or honestly just trial and error until you get the right orientation for an envelope. You really just gotta play around. You can just shoot one envelope through multiple times until you know which way is the right way to print on the envelope. So let's get into the steps. So this is just a silly example of what you're going to end up with using the mail merge process with Word and Excel. So the first step is to create an Excel spreadsheet with the following columns titled name, address 1, address 2, and country. Then you're just going to want to fill in all your guests' names, the first line of the address that would be listed on the envelope in the address 1 column, and then the second line in the address 2 column. So that's the city, province/state, and the postal code and or zip code. You don't really need to fill out the country if you're not going to be sending to various countries. If you're sending just within your country, I don't think you need the country there, but we had multiple countries, so I included it. And then yeah, just fill out the spreadsheet fully with everybody and their respective addresses. Once you're all done and formatted correctly, save your Excel spreadsheet with a name that you'll remember, and then move on to opening Word, where we'll be designing our envelopes. We'll have to start by changing the size of the page. To do that, click Layout at the top and then Size, and try and find the dimensions that you're going to be working with. In my case, an A7 envelope wasn't listed, so to add a custom size, go to File, Page Setup, and then you're able to add a paper size. Obviously, because I've already done this, I have an A7 envelope already in there, but for you, if you don't, you're gonna wanna go to Manage Custom Sizes and add it in manually. So click the plus button and then adjust the width and the height. Now it is in millimeters, so I had to do the conversion. So for a 5x7 invitation, the envelope is likely to be an A7 envelope with the dimensions 5¼ inches by 7¼ inches. So in millimeters, that's 133.35 millimeters and 184.15 millimeters. I also made the margins 0 millimeters all across the board, and then I made sure to change the orientation to landscape. Now that we've got the size correct, let's add in our information. Now obviously you can just type directly onto the page, but I liked to insert a text box. It just makes things easier when arranging everything. So just drag and drop that and type out the column names that we established earlier in that Excel spreadsheet. So in my case, name, address 1, address 2, and country. From there, just select the text and center align it, and then adjust the text box so that it's just a bit longer in case there's some longer names, and just make sure it's in the center of the page. I then added another text box to add our return address. In this case, I just made up a silly example, but obviously put your names and your return address. Now, obviously you could stop there, but we want to make it pretty and aesthetic, so I changed our names to the font Kathy Beatty, which I found online and matched our actual invitation, and then the address to a different font. It was called Mrs. Eves OT or something like that, and then I just adjusted the size of the font just to make it look nice. I did the exact same thing with the address in the middle, changed it to that nice cursive kind of font for the name and the same font for the address. Now obviously you don't want want that black border around your text box. So to change that, right click and click Format Shape if the side panel is not already open, and then make sure the text outline is no line instead of solid line. Once you've made any final adjustments and you're happy with the way everything looks, go up to the top tab called Mailings, and it's time to connect that Excel spreadsheet. To do that, click Select Recipients and then use an existing list. And then scroll through and find the Excel spreadsheet that you made previously. Select it, click Open, and then click Yes and OK. Now go ahead and drag and select the name and then go up to Insert Merge field and select Name. This is basically assigning that name column in the spreadsheet we made to the text that's in the Word document. So you're just going to want to select each line and repeat the process with the corresponding field. Once you're done, go up to Finish and Merge and select Edit Individual Documents. This will then bring up a whole new Word document with each individual page corresponding exactly to that Excel spreadsheet. So it basically does all the work for you. Now, if there is a mistake, you can obviously edit something small, but if you want to change the font or anything, like I said, it is a new document, so you can just X out of it and then repeat that merge after you've changed something so it reflects throughout every single envelope. But if you're happy with everything, just save the document and there are all your envelopes already done and ready to print. Like I said, every printer will be different, but ours has this symbol indicating which way the envelope should go in. So I am sticking our envelope in with the flap on the back on the left side as shown, and then securing it in with these blue tabs that you just push in. When you insert paper into my printer, it prompts you to select the size and type. Because mine defaults to letter and plain paper, I had to change it. There's no preset in there already, so I used user defined and then changed the dimensions, and I used the way it is oriented right now. So I started with 7.25 because that's what the height is with the envelope on its side, and then 5.25 as the width. The last step is to change the paper type to envelope and move on to printing. When we actually printed our invitations, I just did 10 at a time to make sure that everything was running smoothly, and I just changed the page range from 1 to 10 and then did another batch 11 to 21, that sort of thing, until they were all completed. Obviously, in this case, I'm only gonna show you one printed because this is just a fake envelope we're not using. So I just did one. All right, moving on to our vellum wrap. We ordered the design on Etsy. Obviously, you can design something yourself if you want. We changed the color just slightly, but what I linked below was what it was originally. We ordered just letter-sized vellum paper off of Amazon, 8.5 by 11, so that it could easily go through the printer. We did have to learn some things. So I thought that the Amazon listing was pretty clear and that we could print easily on it, but actually our printer didn't register it because it's a bit of a transparent kind of paper. So it didn't register that it was paper and it would not print properly. We had to kind of hack it by basically taking a regular piece of printer paper and taping the vellum paper on. We would just do one little roll of tape at the top, one little roll at the bottom, and taped it on and fed it one by one through the printer. I know it sounds like a lot of work. It ended up being okay. We had a little bit of an assembly line. Obviously, Anthony was there to help. My parents were even around to help us as well. So we just had a few going at once of just paper and tape that we just added the vellum on and shot it through. Now there were a few times where the printer would smudge. We did have to clean the printer head or whatever they're called a couple times throughout the process, but we managed to print on vellum paper. That was a little worrisome because, you know, our whole vision was going out the drain when we couldn't print all of a sudden on the paper. So that is a tip for you. If you have a regular old printer and you're struggling with printing on vellum paper and you want that look, that's the hack. It's not that bad. Honestly, it went pretty quick and they looked amazing. The last step of the process was to cut off the edges to make it the correct size to wrap around. So Anthony got to work with our Cricut cutter to just quickly cut the edges. It just worked out that way. So much easier than putting it through the Cricut at that point. And it came with our set, our everything's bundle that we got, or I got, I guess. We used that, made it super efficient, and he folded them all perfectly ready to be stamped. Moving on to the wax seal, my favorite part. We ended up buying buying a low heat glue gun off of Amazon. Now you can't use a regular old glue gun. I mean, unless you have one that does have an adjustable heat mechanism, you can use that, I guess, but I just bought a fresh one. They're super cheap, and that's my designated wax sealer from now on. And yeah, to make it so much easier than heating it up with a little like spoon thing that you can get and like wax beads, I just got wax glue gun sticks, basically. They fit perfectly into the like glue gun that we got, so it worked out really well. I did order one version. I think it had about 8 or 10 sticks in there, but I ended up having to get way more, so I'll list both below. They were both great. I think the one that had less maybe was just a little bit better, but honestly, it wasn't a huge deal because we needed more in the end anyways, and I used almost all of them. We didn't just use it for our wedding invites. I also stamped our table numbers for our seating chart, like papers onto our mirror, and then I also did individual place cards with the wax seal. So all those wax sticks got used basically, and for various things. So just my favorite part, obviously I had to stamp everything by the end of the day. So how you actually do it is you place your stamp head on ice with a little bit of water in a bag just to keep it dry. You don't want to get it wet at all. You want to keep the stamp metal cold so that it can quickly cool down as it is stamping the hot wax. I would suggest practicing on parchment paper a couple times until you get the hang of it. Obviously you're gonna have a few as you're going that just mess up. It was super easy actually to wait a couple seconds and then just carefully tear it off if I did mess up, because I ended up just going straight onto the vellum paper on the invite after I tested out a couple times on the parchment paper. But yes, we did have a little bit of an assembly line. We assembled the invites with everything in there the way we wanted it. I did about 2.5 squirts, I think. Maybe like 2 full squirts, but if they're not full, like around 2.5, and then stamped it. Waited a couple seconds before I peeled the stamp head off and left them to dry and harden and everything before we moved on to stuffing our envelopes and everything. The last thing that I DIY'd for our wedding invitations were stickers to go on top of the envelopes on the back. Like I said, the reason for not using the wax seal was just in case of error in the mailing process. So I figured a cute little sticker that we did on the Cricut would be the best way to go about it and keep the creative, cute floral theme that I was going for steady throughout the whole suite and the envelope. But yeah, we just basically stuffed our envelopes and stickered the back, stamped them with the correct stamp, and sent them off. And that's it. Those are our wedding invitations on a budget, completely DIY basically. I mean, we didn't print them. Obviously we could have printed them and that would have been like completely DIY, but yeah, we took a little bit of that off our plate just to keep the quality up, just in case your printer can't handle a thicker paper, which is the case a lot of the times, is your printer really can't handle a thick paper, and we wanted that nice thick quality, you know? But yeah, that is it for our wedding invitations. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a long time coming. If you did like it, please don't forget to give it a like, comment down below whether you're planning your wedding and what month is it, and subscribe if you haven't already. There are more wedding episodes to come. I'm just trying to get them all done so that I can post the finale, which is our wedding video, which will be a bittersweet moment. Oh, so emotional. I cry every time and I can't wait to share with you all. Thanks so much for watching and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.